Hey everyone, what's going on? Brant here, and we're back with some more Marvel Contest of Champions. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about Masteries. That's right, Masteries! So, it's been a long time since I've updated my Masteries. It's been a real long time. I think the last time I updated my Masteries was back in early March, and then I left the game shortly afterwards at the end of March. I've just only recently returned back in early August, and so it's time for a change because in between then, as you may or may not know, there was a huge change to Willpower. Willpower got totally nerfed, or as I believe, corrected. I always thought Willpower should never have benefited you more for multiple instances of the same effect. I think the way to have it set up now is the way it should have been set up from the get-go. So I actually really like the change. It makes things a little bit more fair, and it lets you reuse or get back to using some of these popular champions that I thought were really kick-ass before Willpower. You know, the bleed champs and the armor break champs. I mean, Iron Fist was one of my favorite champs before Willpower. And Willpower came along and kind of rendered those guys useless for the most part. So I really like the change to Willpower, and I also like the change they made where they lowered the cost on redoing your masteries, so you can constantly redo them, and it doesn't really dent your pocket as much as it used to. So let's go ahead and take a look at my old setup, pre-Willpower nerf, and then we'll take a look at my new setup and what we're focused on doing now. So let's go ahead and bring up the old attack masteries right now. Okay, so here they are. Here is my old attack masteries. So we maxed out greater strength to get I think it's like an extra 8% attack for all champions. We had one on Pierce, we had the lesser precision and lesser cruelty with one, and then we maxed out the full precision and full cruelty. From there, we also maxed out our glass cannon to get that extra like 7.2% of attack, even though we're sacrificing a little bit of health. So we tried to get as much attack out of our offense that we could without diving into suicide masteries. So that's really much it for attack. So now let's take a look at my attack today. Since we made the change post Willpower nerf, and let's see what they look like now. Okay, so here we have made quite a bit of changes. The first thing you'll notice is that we took off all of the greater strengths. That was maxed out before. We needed those points elsewhere, so we brought that back down to 1. I did max out Pierce, so I get 3/3 on Pierce, so you get an extra 15% damage, or you ignore extra 15% of armor with critical hits. I basically wanted to max out as much critical rate percentage as I possibly could. I know lesser precision only gets you about an extra 2.5% of critical rate, but you know what? I want to get as much as I can. So I maxed out my crit rate. I still have my cruelty going on, but I needed those extra points because I wanted to open up and unlock deep wounds. So in order to do that, I had to unlock despair, put 1 on despair, and then I had to go in unlock deep wounds. Now deep wounds, for those of you that don't know, and the game doesn't tell you until you try to actually access it. Let me take it back one step. Despair is the prerequisite for deep wounds, so you have to have at least 1 on despair in order to get into deep wounds. So in order to unlock despair, you need 1 carbonadium core, and that's 550 units. After that, you go into deep wounds. Deep wounds has 3 levels. Each level of deep wounds requires 1 carbonadium core and 2 stony cores just to unlock it. After that, then you got to pay your gold to actually rank up to that rank. So think about that. You have 1 for Despair, 3 levels for Deep Wounds. That is 4 Carbonadium cores you're going to need if you want to max out Deep Wounds. On top of that, Deep Wounds also requires 2 Stony cores for each level. So you need 6 Stony cores for that as well. That is a lot of units, and that is why it took a long time for me to get this done since I came back to the game back in August. So, but we did max out Deep Wounds, and the point of maxing out Deep Wounds is because we just took up Wolverine not too long ago to rank 4. We're going to be bringing up Black Panther to rank 4 at some point. We just got Agent Venom. He has a bleed champ. The bleed champs are very good again, and so we want to extend the length of that bleed. And at level 3, you actually extend the length of your bleed an extra 1.5 seconds, and that is really, really long in this game. So basically you're getting an extra 3 ticks of bleed if your champ causes bleed every half second. So you get an extra 3 ticks, and I've really noticed it. And I wouldn't think that 1.5 seconds would be noticeable, but it really is. When Wolverine is bleeding people, that bleed lasts a little bit longer, and it's noticeably longer. Same thing for Deadpool. When I'm dropping L2s on people, that bleed is lasting longer, and you notice it. You wouldn't think you notice it at 1.5 seconds, but you do. So that was the big move for updating my Masteries. We want to get into Deep Wounds and max it out, and we did. And I really like it. It's not worth the 4 Carbonadium cores and 6 Stony cores. I think that's ridiculous. I mean, I know the Silver Masteries, you need Carbos to unlock them, but geez, that is just a ton of units. And it just took forever to acquire all those. So you got to really grind and put in a lot of effort in order to get there, but you can do it. So that's it for offense. Let's take a look at defense. And by the way, offense was really the big move for the change. We wanted to get into Deep Wounds and lengthen the bleed of our bleed champs and make them just a little bit more stronger and powerful. So, but we'll take a look at defense and utility and show you where any changes were made there. So let's take a look at our before defense. So this is before my change, and kind of a standard setup for most people with defense, because you need to put 15 masteries in place before you can unlock willpower on defense. So this is kind of the standard setup a lot of people have across the game to kind of build that healing engine, so to speak, and they max out willpower. So that's really about it. Afterwards, let's go to our after defense. This is what we look like now. So we're kind of the same on the left. In fact, I don't think anything changed on the left, but willpower we decreased down to 1. Because honestly, there's really not a need to have willpower maxed out. I mean, if you're looking at the different rank levels, at rank 1, you get 0.5% back, and at rank 3, you get 0.7% back. It's really not that much of a difference. It's definitely not enough of a difference to warrant 2 mastery points. So, I think you still need 1 on there, absolutely. 1 definitely, you got to have something there to kind of, CYA, cover your ass in case you actually get caught or tagged with somebody. You're actually regenerating a little bit to kind of, keep you afloat. You're not just bleeding to death, right? But you don't need to max out willpower, at least in my opinion. So that's really it for defense. Let's take a look at utility and see where we made a couple little changes there as well. So here is our before utility. And before utility, we had, we had 1 on limber, 1 on dexterity. We maxed out our parry and our what do you call it? Stupefy. And I look at those two as they're kind of linked together, right? Because Stupefy extends the length of your stun, and so does parry to a little bit, right? So you're either not going to, if you're going to commit to Stupefy, then you got to max out parry as well. You want to get the maximum duration if you want to max out your stun. If you don't want to commit to Stupefy, then you only need 1 on parry, because if you're not interested in maxing out stun, and that's all the extra levels do of parry, there's really no need. So you either do 1 on parry, or you do 6 across both of them. And I like having out that maxed out stun, especially when Scarlet Witch is stunning people. Oh my gosh, she stuns in the middle of a combo, and you can get off 2 more combos with this setup. And that's really cool. A place where this kind of hurts you is with Thor. If you're trying to stack armor breaks, you have a lengthened stun, so the guys are staying stunned longer. Therefore, the armor break is kind of wearing off while they're stunned. So it's very hard to get off or stack 3 armor breaks and get off a hit. So I've made note of that, and I don't even try anymore. I just work with 2 armor breaks. I stack 2 armor breaks, and then I attack with Thor. But I'd rather have the longer stun with Scarlet Witch and, you know, deal with 2 armor breaks with Thor. Because 2 armor breaks with Thor, man, you're still kicking his ass. You're still using him to kick people's asses. Moving down the line here, we have Petrify. I have 1 on Petrify, and I had maxed out Pacify. Pacify is really kick-ass. It's like the mini Black Widow effect, where you stun people and it has a chance to nullify their abilities. So, not much has really changed here, guys. I'm going to show you the after picture of utility right now. And what you see here is I've just added 2 more points to Petrify, because I want to get the full benefit of reducing the power and health gains of these guys when we're actually stunning them. And I'm so busy fighting, I don't really pay attention to that specific of an aspect, so I might be changing that and putting those points elsewhere. I'm not really sure yet. Or maybe when I'm fighting in arena, I can actually pay attention to how these guys are, you know, how their health gain is going and stuff. I don't know. It's really hard to... the game is happening so fast, it's hard to really focus on a minute detail like that. So I consider those points negligible and negotiable, and I can probably put them somewhere else. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm definitely sure. What am I kidding? I think if we have a chance to save up enough Mystic stuff, we're going to... Mystic cores, we're probably going to start investing in Mystic Dispersion so we can get more power gain when enemy beneficials expire, and that'd be really useful for Scarlet Witch, who we're going to be taking to R5 next week. So we really want to focus our, you know, our setup kind of around her. So we're maxing out our crit damage, and we're maxing out anything that'll help benefit her, and Mystic Dispersion will definitely do that. So there you go, guys. Lastly, I want to show you the before and after of my top 10 champs and see what PI changes have occurred. So let's take a look at the before picture. Okay, there's my top 10 before. Moon Knight leading the way down to Hulk. Moon Knight is the only guy who's actually over 5,000 PI. Him and Thor are my only 2 R5 champs at the moment. So they're the ones that are closest to 5,000 PI. And I gotta tell you, not much has changed. You take a look at the after picture right now. There you go. Everybody got a little bit of a PI bump across the top 10. Thor's really creeping close to that 5,000 PI mark, but he's not really there yet. Other than that, nobody swapped positions. Nobody passed or jumped anybody. It's kind of a universal increase across the board for everybody. So there you go, guys. At the end of the day, the point of doing a mastery change is we wanted to get rid of our willpower nerfed masteries, reassign and rededicate our masteries more for critical damage, as much critical damage as we could possibly find, and maybe focus on some Mystic Dispersion and get the most use out of Scarlet Witch. So that's really it, guys. And the good news is they reduced the rates of having to recover and reapply these masteries, so you can actually tinker on a more regular basis, or every time a new event quest comes out or a special quest comes out. If you need to tinker your mastery setup, they make it a lot easier for you to do that now, and I think that's a really good move on Kabam's part. So there you go, guys. That's it. Yeah, I think that's it. That's my top 10. So let's go ahead and switch back here. Alright, guys, so that's it for the mastery setup. I hope this is a little bit useful for you. I hope you gain a little bit of insight as to my approach to the game and how I'm going about things. We're basically trying to smash people as hard as we can, and hopefully, you know, it's basically a mastery setup for Scarlet Witch and trying to harness the most of her power and smash people and stun people and rinse and repeat and do the same thing all over again. That's really about it. and then a new quest will come out, and they'll nerf like they did with the Labyrinth of Legends, and they'll make her useless, and then you got to go ahead and reset it up. You know, but at least it's not as expensive to do it as it used to be. So there you go, guys. That's my new Mastery setup for September 2016. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button. Put some comments down below. Let me know your thoughts. Should I allocate some points elsewhere? Are you guys seeing more beneficial effects with other points somewhere else? Let me know. I'm open to suggestions, guys. By no means is this a default setup for anybody. This is completely open to interpretation. And I really welcome your feedback when it comes to Masteries, because I could use it. I'm not a super pro by any means. Excuse me. So any feedback is welcome. Yeah, I really appreciate the help. Appreciate your support on the channel. Steiny TV is growing. Thanks a lot for all your support, guys. That's it for this time. We'll see you next time. See ya! Pew, pew, pew.